Hello everyone, nice to see you. My name is Vismay and today I hope you guys are doing well. So today we are doing a short ILS tutorial. Some people have been asking how do you do an ILS approach and can the Airbus A320Neo auto-land in its current state? Um, the questions, I will answer them, but the short answer is the A320Neo cannot auto-land. It can get you close enough to where you can take manual control, but no, you cannot auto-land yourself. The aircraft. So the aircraft cannot auto land. That will be coming with the new fly-by-wire A320NX mod new custom autopilot, but there is no set date on when that will come out. So for now, you can't do the auto land. As always, I am not a real-life pilot, so please do not use this as an instruction for real-life piloting. And if you really enjoyed this video, please consider liking, and if you really loved it, make sure to subscribe because YouTube tells me only around 19% of you have subscribed. So go ahead and click that big red button. It's free and it really helps out the channel. But today we are at Seattle. This is runway 16 left. I've gone ahead and I've spawned in on the runway. I've decided not to uh, do a startup. The only reason is because I've already done a startup tutorial. So if you want to know how to start the aircraft, go ahead and watch that. So yeah. Uh, question. Yes, so some aircraft do have so some aircraft do have the auto land, but yeah, so that's an optional feature. But this in Microsoft Flight Simulator, no, there's no auto land in any of the aircraft. Um, right, so let's get started. Um, so we're already at the takeoff phase. I'm gonna go ahead and put flaps 2, and we can go ahead and let's turn on the sound for this. I always forget to do that. So we'll go ahead and disengage the parking brakes. Spoilers are armed, and we can check the cabin, I guess, if you really want to. But yeah, I've already went ahead and put in a flight plan. It's the Seattle 16 left departure off of the Seattle 7 departure from the Buzo transition, and then we'll take the Crater to arrival via the Buzo transition, and I believe there was Scapo transition. Sorry, is there a Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird mod? So the thing about that is you can get the visual there, but the cockpit itself won't have any functions. So technically, no. I believe if you go ahead and check in, I guess, flightsim.to, yeah, you can probably find it there. Yeah, so a couple things in order you need to know in order before you do an ILS approach. Um, so, first of all, you're gonna need a chart. So I use ChartFox, and you can go ahead and load up chartfox.com. .org, and you have to have a VATSIM account. Once you have a VATSIM account, you can go ahead and put the ICAO code of the airport you're going to land at. It's right here at the top right corner. You're gonna go hit and press load. Once that airport is loaded, you can go to the approach section, and in the approach section, you'll see different runways. Now, today we're landing on 10 right, and if I go ahead and open up that chart and zoom in, you'll see a bunch of different frequencies. But the main one you need to look at is right here. It says localizer DME IPDX 110.5. What that means is the localizer / distance measuring equipment is on the frequency 110.5. Okay, and it also shows right here, it gives you the Morse code, and it also gives you the identifier. So it says IPDX. Now, if I were to go back into the sim, let's go ahead and go back there. If I were to look down here in the MCDU and go to RadNav, you'd see 110.5 is already put in there. So occasionally you'd also see that identifier there. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. I'm not really sure why that is. But for now, until the bug has been fixed, you usually get the identifier right there, IPDX. But here, the frequency is okay. Now, you need to be within a certain range of the airport in order to intercept the localizer and stuff like that. So typically around the time, around the deceleration point, which I'll get into a little bit later, you'd activate the approach mode. And a little bit later, you'd activate the LS mode. But let's go ahead and check the altimeter. Let's go up to 15,000 feet as our initial climb. I'll go ahead and disengage the parking brake, and we can go. Again, I do not have a yoke, so my landings won't be very good. We'll go ahead and set takeoff thrust. And we'll watch the speed. 100 knots. 120. V1. Rotate. So a slight rotation. Go ahead and call out positive rate. You're up. And we'll wait until the lever climb notification pops up right here. That's your thrust reduction altitude, and that's the point at which you put your levers to climb, but more about that in the tutorial I've done before. So we're coming up on flaps retraction speed, as well as the slats. There we go, we've retracted both. I'd like to go ahead and tell you, go ahead and check your quality settings right now. Like I always say in every video, if it's not set to max, you're going to get really bad quality, and people have been complaining about that. So go ahead and set your quality in YouTube to the max you can handle. Go ahead and set lever climb, because we saw the lever climb come up here, so climb D10. And at this point, you can go ahead and engage the autopilot. On the flight mode enunciator, you'd see the throttle climb, that's correct. Open climb, that's correct as well. And altitude, because we set our altitude. Nav, we're following the navigation, so the flight plan. And you'd see autopilot 1 is engaged, auto throttle is engaged, and flight director 1 is on, and flight director 2 is on. I'm going to go ahead and disarm the speed brake. Just cruising. Go ahead and turn off the landing lights, but we'll keep them out since that's a taxi. You don't really need to worry about the air because there's no real passengers. It's not really going to affect you. Going right through the clouds now. Salty replay coming up. Okay, so we got ice. Salty replay, there's no determined dates in which that is coming out. So for now, severe ice detected. So for now, okay, ignition. So for now, there is no current date, so I don't know about that now. This should really fix icing in this mod. The ice has been a little weird. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the seatbelt signs. But it looks like, from what I'm seeing, the wing ice light has been modeled. So this light right here, it goes on the wing. I'm pretty sure that wasn't there before. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and check QNH. That's good. Right, so again, I'm gonna go ahead and say if you guys want some sort of tutorial, you want me to do something, you want me to fly somewhere special, go ahead and join the Discord. The Discord link is in the channel about page. And you can request a flight to and from, or you can request a certain tutorial on how to do something there. Go ahead and ask these guys, when was wing ice light added? So coming up on 15,000, and we're going to go up to our final cruising level of, I believe it was 19,000. Yep. Oh, and if you have any questions on how to set up the MCDU, I do have an MCDU setup tutorial there, and how to set up your flight plan as well. But for now, we just got to continue. So live weather and live time. It's currently 11:49 p.m. Zulu. We're expected at 12:05 Zulu, so around 16 minutes according to the simulator. Wow, that's nice. I have to get a new livery. I don't know, all my old ones broke for some reason. Sets the standard because we're at 18,000 feet. Now, going back to the charts, there's a couple things you need to notice. So if I zoom in, again, this is the 10 right approach. You gotta check to make sure that's the correct runway. But you also see there are a couple VORs. Now this will help you. You can see if I'm coming in from here, I can go on this, go towards this VOR, and then I'll intercept the localizer right here. Now we're coming in from here, I believe, so we don't need to worry about that. But you'll see it'll give you some altitude restrictions, and it'll give you some distance from the airport. So at 30 miles from the airport, flight level 200, and at 14.6 miles from the airport, you're at 3,800. Savi, you're at 2,900. Pals, you're 2,000, and so on. It'll also give you your minimums or decision heights. So I'm not sure about the category right here. But what I like to do is, you see ILS 10 rep. So the difference between localized DME and ILS is ILS provides the glide slope. But as far as I know, the localized DME does not provide the glide slope because localizer is the lateral navigation, and DME gives you distance from the airport. So this is DME, 3.1 DME. But as far as I know, it doesn't give you the glide slope. That's the reason the minimums is higher than the ILS. Not sure about circling. Might have something to do with circling around. Again, I'm not really familiar with this part of the chart. You'd see the runway or airport elevation, how large the threshold is, and it'll give you some more information. Right, so it'll also give you tower, ground, delivery, give you all that stuff. This can be useful when you're on VATSIM, but I don't really look at it when I'm on VATSIM because I can just look at VPilot. So, right, again, you get your ILS frequency right there, and you'll see, if you don't know what an ILS is, you'll see always forget to do this. One thing about the A320 autopilot is if it starts banking or doing stuff when the autopilot's on, make sure you set your dead zones for LSX and LSY to 15. I'm going to go ahead and check the graphics settings though. I'm going to try Ultra. Don't know if it'll work. Hopefully it will. Let's see. It's doing okay. Oh, but yeah. You can see some clear. You can see some clear frame drops. Let's see, I'll turn it down one. There we go. We can try high end. See if that works. Yeah, much better. Is this okay? Can you hear me? So I'm going to go ahead and turn on constraints. Now you can see we need to be at... Actually, we should start descending now. I probably should have looked earlier, but start descending, please. Thank you. It'll give you some constraints. Now, you know, I don't have the latest AREC data, so it looks a little weird. Yeah, you got flight level 110 here, but then you got flight level 120 here. Then you got 8,000. That's okay, but then, you know, you come around, and these are the constraints that we saw in the chart fox. So, you know, your chart, you saw that constraints. But it wasn't actually these constraints. That was the runway, so around final here. These constraints you'd find on your star, standard terminal arrival routes. Am I using a green screen? No, I'm using a red screen. It's just like a red screen, just red. So no, I don't have a green screen. It looks red. It's just red, pure red. But at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and set the QNH because we are past 18,000 feet, and you can see we're descending. Now, some tips in order to descend. If you find you're not descending quick enough, you can first of all go ahead and put your throttle to idle. What this does is it prevents the auto throttle from working, and you know you're not going to get thrust. You're going to get idle thrust. Lowest thrust setting that the engine can produce without it shutting off, so it stays on. But you know, you see your vertical speed is increasing. Well, let's go ahead and put out the speed brakes. Now with the speed brakes out, you'll see, well, our vertical speed is, you know, going down because we have to pitch down in order to gain speed. Well, it's targeting that speed, right? Because we're unmanaged. If I go ahead and put out the speed brakes and the throttle to idle, you know, you're not going to get any thrust. So it has to pitch down in order for it to gain that thrust. Now, let's say that I'm still not descending fast enough. Go ahead and select speed and increase it higher. And you'll see that the plane pitches down in an attempt to, you know, gain more speed in order to stay at the targeted altitude. Targeted speed. I'm gonna go ahead and put that there. But that was just a tip on how you can descend faster if you find out that, you know, you're a little too high. Not a good ride for the passengers, but you know. See, so check that auto throttle. Yep. Climb, detents, flaps are up, speed brake is disarmed, you know, stuff like that. I'm not going through any specific checklist. If you want to see me go through a checklist, go ahead and again watch that other video. I believe it was called the startup tutorial. Although, no, A320Neo tutorial part 1. That was the one. So we're almost at 11,000 feet, and we can go ahead and zoom in on the next one. So, 11,000 feet here, 8,000 feet here. So you're going to plan, you want to plan that. And typically, I'm going to wait until we get to crater before we start descending even further. I'm not, typically on ILS, you descend around 2,800 feet per minute on an ILS for a 3-degree glide slope. But, I don't have any sort of training, so I wouldn't know how far away you descend, unless, because this is 100 and flight level 110, and this is flight level 120. You typically check your charts, but I'm not going to do that. It's okay. We have more than enough fuel, as you can see right there. But let's go ahead and let's set 8,000, but we're not going to engage it yet. All I have to do is press the button. Because as soon as we're lower than 10,000 feet, we have to stay below 250 knots. It's 3 miles away. Oh, change to hiker now. Once you get it within a certain range of the waypoint, it changes to the next waypoint. Oh, we got hit. Looks like a wind gust. I'm gonna go ahead and engage that now. Slightly bumpy. I'm gonna go ahead and I actually forgot to turn on the seatbelt signs. But it's a nice day, except for the turbulence. So after 8,000, we have to be at 5,000 and less than 210 knots. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in as well. So now the plane will descend to 5,000 feet. And you'll see it's pretty consistent with 5,000 feet until you turn to Scapo, in which you're going to get 4,000 feet, and then 3,100. And you're going to get lower and lower because you're intercepting the glide slope. But where do I find, on ChartFox, how do I find my approach? Well, if we go ahead and go back to ChartFox, and let's go up to the star, right? So if I go up to the star and I select, we're doing crater 2. Well, you can look and see at this chart. If I'm looking at my flight simulator, you can see we're just passing hiker. And at hiker, it says you have to be within 9,000, where'd it go? 9,000 feet to 7,000 feet. That's the range in which you have to be at. So, in the sim it says 8,000 feet, because you're targeting that. After that, we're going to Voodoo, 5,000 feet, 210 knots. 2,000 knots would be insane. But, after that, you'd go to Doe, 5,000 again, and Nut. And after Nut, I believe we are going, let me check the flight plan real quick. Oh, it gives us a vector. So USR, I'm going to go ahead and show you that in Flight Simulator. But if you go ahead and look down here, you can see USR after nuts. So if the inbuilt flight simulator, it senses something's wrong. It'll give you a vector to your next waypoint, and that's called USR. So right here, that's typically on stars or SIDS. That's where you'd find it. We're still descending. Got 8 miles to descend. We have to target that green dot speed on arrival. So at deceleration point, you'd engage, or at least that's what I do. I'm not according to your standard operating procedure for your aircraft, airline. Typically, you go ahead and engage the approach phase, which is in here. So let's go ahead and get the ATIS. Again, this is in my MCDU tutorial. If I were to get the ATIS for arrival, let's go ahead and ask for that. And we'll wait for that to come in. We can go ahead and turn off the engine ice. There we go, we got the ATIS. Looks like ATIS is not available. Okay, so in that case, we have to get the ATIS from the inbuilt ATC. So let me go ahead and, call them up. Tune to, let's see, where is it? Portland International. Let's just check here, 5,000 feet. We need to descend a little bit faster. Let's tune to the ATIS. Go ahead and fill out the information here. Portland Airport information Alpha 00000. So you'll see temperature 5. Visibility 3. Sky condition 3026. So that's the altimeter. And wind calm. So it doesn't give you that wind. Right. So let's change that. There we go. Okay, so we can close that. That's the information we have now. However, on landing, you see we have this wind. We can go ahead and use that. So we're about 500 feet high, but we're still targeting that green dot speed. And if I go back to perf, you can see we're now in the approach phase because the aircraft will automatically engage that approach phase now. So, you have decision height here and MDA here. So that's the minimum descent altitude and decision height. Difference is the minimum decision height is in altitude above sea level. However, the decision height is altitude above ground. So again, if I were to go ahead and go back to ChartFox, and I were to go into the approach and look at 10 right. If I were to zoom in, you have your missed approach procedure, climb to 1,100, then climbing right turn to 5,000 on the BTG Vortac, radial 160. Okay, so that's right, I believe that's one is BGT, there it is. I believe that's, yeah, so the radial refers to what direction it's pointing at. So this is 180. 160 would be around here. So you have to climb on that radial to here, to BTG, to 17.7 DME and hold. So that's around here. And then continue climb and hold to 5,000, at which point ATC, would say, okay, you're cleared for another approach. But go down to the ILS. So ILS 10 right, you can see it says 223/1A. I'm not sure what that, if this is decision height or minimum descent altitude, but I usually put in MDA, but today I'll put in as the decision height. A higher decision height, that's okay. Higher decision height is good. Lower, not, lower is not good. But going back to the simulator, we're coming in for our turn to Scapo. Gonna go and descend to 4,000. Now, at this point, you can see our runway is coming in here. So if I were to go ahead and push the LS button, you'll see we have IPDX coming in on here, just like the charts. It'll give us the frequency, and it'll give us how far away we are from that localizer station. So, you know, the antenna. On here, if I were to tune to LS, you'll see I'm to the right of the localizer. And the reason is I'm still going in for my turn, right? So if I were to look at arc again, you'd see, you know, this is the point at which the localizer comes in. Now you see these diamonds right here? They represent the localizer, and this one is the glide slope. So currently I am lower than the glide slope, and I am to the left of the glide slope. So the glide slope is to my left, and I am to the right of the glide slope, and the glide slope is to the left, just like not glide slope, localizer. I'm to the right of the localizer, and the localizer is to my left. There we go, that's correct. So in order for me to intercept that, I'd have to turn left. You know, I'd have to come down here. Let's go ahead and, yeah. You know, you can do your landing checklist. This typically would come on at 10,000 feet. You know, you can call out the cabin crew. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and do a checklist. You know, ILS approach checklist. Initial approach. Engine mode selector, you know, is at normal. Seatbelt signs on. Approach phase is already active. You know, positioning, we don't have to monitor. Manage speed, checked, is the green dot right there. We can go ahead and, oh, speed brakes are out. Check the ground spoilers are armed. So armed is up and disarmed is down. And, you know, weather radar, adjust, blah, blah, blah. We don't have that. Final approach. You know, approach mode, you know, I'll get into that a little bit later. Just want to check the TCAS real quick. I'm not playing in multiplayer right now because I keep forgetting to change that setting. But yeah. Now you'll see the diamond just slowly come in. It'll come in slowly, but as soon as we come around here, it'll be right about here. So we're 25.5 nautical miles away. You know, typically around, I've noticed 27 miles away, you'd lose the signal. But it really depends on the airport and the runway in which you're landing at. So you see 2,500 as the radio altimeter, the call out. You know, you get 2,500, 2,000, leave 1,500, 1,500, 400, 300, 200, 100, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Yeah, that's the radio call out you'd get. But what happens is there's a little antenna on the back of the aircraft. It sends radio signals down towards the ground. And once it sends it down, the radio signals come back up, and, you know, using the speed of light and stuff like that, it can determine how high above ground you are. It usually uses radio callouts for reference. So, you know, 100 you'd be above the around, you know, the blast area. 50 feet you'd be above the threshold. At that point, you know, you'd idle and stuff like that. But as you see, you can't see the glide slope diamond anymore, and the reason is because we're lower than the glide slope, so it just went too far. Now, if you're doing an RNAV RNP approach, if you press LS, you'll ruin everything. So if you're doing an RNAV RNP approach, whatever you do, don't press the LS button. At that point, you ruin everything for your approach. So we're at 200 knots. Still going. Oh, and that bug again did get fixed, so that's good. 2,500. You know, because the ground is going up and down, and, you know, it dips out of the range, and then it comes back, and, you know, it's not flat. The world isn't flat, of course. If you think it's flat, you're dumb. gonna click everything I can see. So you'll see transition altitude there. That's typically for Europe. The transition altitude in the US is always 18,000 feet. That's the point in which you switch over to standard QNH. So QNH is, yeah, QFE I believe is distance above ground, and QNH is distance above sea level. So there you go, you see the localizer come in. We'll go ahead and press the localizer button. At this point, you'll see Cat 3 and single come on, and nav will change to localizer. Now, what the aircraft is trying to do is well, it's already intercepted it, and it'll stay right on there as to the highest of its ability, best of its ability. Still 20 miles away, so we're pretty far out on final. This is live weather. Imagine this. This is nice. That looks like the side of a cookie, you know. Angle of attack is pretty high though. I mean, high when you look at it like this. You know, it looks like it's almost stalling at this point. Oh, lights came on. You can see it. Well, lights were on, but you'd see it a little bit better now. So nav lights are the red and green. However, the logo light won't come on until you are on the ground or you have flaps 1. So that's the slats. So 20 miles, you can see runway is about 15 miles out. We can check right here. Yeah, 17.5. So once we get to Herne, you know, glide slope is coming in. But at Herne, let's go ahead and put out 3,100. So at Herne, I'd put out flaps 1. So around 10 nautical miles, I'll put out flaps 1. Now, if we go back to the LS selector, you'll see we're perfectly on the glide slope. Sorry, not glide slope. I keep saying that. Localizer. Glide slope hasn't come in yet. You'll see, again, the frequency, the runway, and the course. So the course is right here. We're going 103 on the heading. If you're tuned into a VOR, you can go ahead and, check the VOR. So the BTG, I can go ahead and tune that in. Actually, let me see, what is that? 116.6. 116.6. So I can put that in on VOR, and you'll see, it'll pop up here. But we don't have to worry about that. So we go back to ARC, and you see the glide slope diamonds coming in. At this point, go ahead and press the approach mode, and now the glide slope will be targeted as well as the localizer. So now I'm going to go ahead and put out flaps 1. Go ahead and you can see it right there, 1F. And you can look out and you can see the nav lights are on. Sorry, not nav lights, logo lights. I'm messing up today. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the auto brake. Check that the spoilers are armed. You can go through your checklist. Final approach, autopilot 1, flaps 1 at green, TCAS, flight mode enunciated, localizer, blah blah blah. Gonna go ahead and check. Can we see the runway? After this cloud, I'm pretty sure you can see the runway now. So a localizer approach without the ILS is called a glide slope is called a non-precision approach. Same thing with a VOR DME approach. So I'm gonna go ahead and put out flaps 2. You'll see the speed ribbon come in, and you'll see 2 on this display right here. So slats are out, and flaps are out. So I believe it's flaps 3. No. Landing gear needs to be down soon. know. So again, like I said, there's no auto land. So as you get closer, the accuracy is going to decrease. Oh, put out flaps 3. I'll go ahead and put out the gear. I thought I pressed flaps 3. There we go. Now at around 4 nautical miles, I'll go ahead and put out flaps 4, full. There we go, flaps full. Now you just gotta do slight adjustments to stay on the runway. Now let's go ahead and call the cabin again. You want to stay, the glide slope works pretty well, but the localizer doesn't. So you want to stay, the runway should be slightly to your right since you're sitting on the left side of the aircraft. Hopefully you are sitting on the left side, unless you're doing shared cockpit. Land comes on the flight mode annunciator. That's correct.
100 above.
So 100 above our minimum decision height in which we set.
Minimum.
There you go, it's called out.
Minimum.
Now at this point I'm going to go ahead and disengage the autopilot. Now you just gotta follow the diamonds. Or just do a visual. Now you just gotta slightly pull the nose up.
30.
Idle.
20. 10. 5.
There you go. And you touch down. Auto brake will come out. Flaps. Sorry, not flaps. Speed brakes will come out. Oh. Negative 124 FPM. Not bad. Not bad. Go ahead and turn off the auto brake. And now you don't have any deceleration force. There we go. Flaps are already put out. And then, you know, you'd want to slow down. But we'll go ahead and pull off here. Okay, 124 is not bad, not bad. I forgot. I think it was 2 days ago. I think we got like what, 34 FPM. Lately we've been doing pretty bad, but this past 2 days have been okay. Landing lights can come off. Turn off lights can come off. The wing ice light can come off. Seatbelts can come off. No smoking, just cause. Then we'll go ahead and taxi to a gates. You know, you'd get your charts out for this one again, because you know you don't know the layout of the airport, and you know they give us a specific taxi route in which we have to go to. But if I can just find an empty one, there we go, straight ahead. That's a good one. Go ahead and turn off these lights. Slightly fast. Now we just got a taxi right in. Try to stay centered. Right about here. We're very fast coming in. There we go. Let's check. Nice. Not bad. Or well, it's okay. So again, we can go ahead and secure the aircraft. Go ahead and turn off controller. So that was the ILS approach tutorial, and now my game's frozen. I don't know why. Every stream, at one point, the game freezes. I don't know why. It's crazy. There we go. Okay, so it's back. You know, you turn off the flight directors and the LS right after you land. Oh, hi, Kevin. Too bad I got on just as you landed. That's okay. You can, as soon as the video processes, um, you can watch it. You can actually scroll back now. But as soon as the stream ends, I believe it takes a little bit for it to process before you can actually watch it afterwards. I think it takes like maybe 10 minutes. But as long as I'm still running, you can go ahead and look back. But we'll go ahead and turn off the engine one at 2 and 1 master. Oh, and that annoying screen will pop up soon, now that I think about it. Oh, it didn't? Oh, that's interesting. Usually it pops up. Huh. Oh, well, here it popped up now. But, I'm not going in any checklist again. Turn off the crew oxygen supply. I can't? No. Okay. Oh, well, the aircraft is shut down now, I guess. That was a quick shut off. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And if you guys want any sort of tutorial, you want me to do a specific flight, go ahead and put in the Discord again, and I'll see if I can set something up. But thank you for watching. Go ahead, and if you haven't, please subscribe. But other than that, I will see you next time. Bye bye.